Hi students, welcome to lesson number 29, Urban Problems, Education and Health. Let's look into the introduction. The cities have always had the power to intensify the triumphs and tragedies of human existence. Therefore, the world's demographic, environmental and social problems are most evident in urban places. According to the modernization theory, as poor societies industrialize and consequently urbanize, greater productivity will simultaneously raise the living standards and reduce poverty. Throughout the history, the city has improved people's living standards more than any other kind of settlement. But cities of today are finding it extremely difficult to accommodate the increasing inflow of immigrants. Many urban problems spring from the heavy concentration of population in a limited space. Urban education and health have drawn the attention of urban planners. Let's look into the objectives. 1. The main objective of this lesson is to discuss the educational and health problems in urban societies. Understanding the urban problems. A society that strives to improve must be keenly aware of its social problems. Social problems are behavior patterns or conditions that are considered objectionable or undesirable by many members of a society. These members recognize that the corrective policies, programs and services are necessary to cope with and reduce the scope of these problems. In every society, there are a number of social and economic problems. Urban society is not exception for that. There are many problems in urban societies such as unemployment, educational and health. All these urban problems are the result of intolerable living conditions in towns and cities. In this lesson, the problems of education and health are discussed. Let's look into the educational problems. A society based on science and technology, it is education that determines the level of prosperity, welfare and security of the people. The educational institutions and system play an important role in the progress of any country. It is the education through which people are provided with the valuable aid in achieving certain values, goals, aid. The growth of modern system of education in India may be traced back to the establishment of the British rule in India in the beginning of the 19th century. Since then, the various commissions and committees were appointed from time to time during the British rule to find out the deficiency of the existing system and suggest improvements. Among these, some important ones were the Indian Education Commission 1882, the Universities Commission 1902, the Calcutta University Commission 1917 and Abbott Wood Committee 1937. Post independence, some attempts have been made to reorient the educational system to suit out current needs. In order to study the problems of education in the changing context, various commissions, committees and study groups have been appointed from time to time. The most important among these are the University Education Commission 1948, the Secondary Education Commission 1953 and the Education Commission. According to these reports, some of the defects of the present system of education are: 1. There is poor quality of teaching and faulty method of education. There is more emphasis on academic and theoretical education which is not related to everyday practical aspects of the world. 2. There is no sufficient literacy among children as well as adults. The problem of illiteracy among women in our country is worse. According to 2021 reports, there is 87.7% of women literacy in urban areas of the country. At the all India level, the male literacy rate is higher at 84.7% compared to 70.3% among women. 3. Absence of adequate facilities for technical and occasional education which forces large number of students to go in for general education than is justified by the requirements of the society. 4. The dearth of scholarly and trained teachers is a major cause of low standard of teaching. The period of schooling at various stages such as primary, middle, high school, intermediate or university level is not suited to the various objectives to be achieved at every stage. 5. There is lack of civic and moral education at various levels. The result of this is indiscipline among the students. In the past few years, there has been increase in student indiscipline and student unrest, especially in urban societies. It has manifested in the form of strikes and demonstrations, often leading to violence, walkout from classrooms and examination halls, burning of buses and other distractions like manhandling of teachers and university officials. There are various causes which have brought about these expressions of uncivilized behavior. These include the uncertain future facing the educated young man, which breeds frustration and irresponsibility, the mechanical and unsatisfactory nature of many curricular programs, inadequate facilities for teaching and learning in the large bulk of institutions, the poor student-teacher contact, the inefficiency and lack of scholarship on the part of teachers, the absence of imagination and tact combined with firmness on the part of the heads of institutions, the teachers' politics in some colleges and universities, the interference of political parties in the work of students' unions, the failing standards of discipline among the general citizens and their weakening civic consciousness and integrity which affect the students as well. Besides this, the other important causes for the defective constitution of some of students and lowering of moral standards, the functioning of the student unions was pointed out by Dr. 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 as few student union leaders are better students and represent the student bodies. Few student unions act as anti-administrative bodies. He mentions the clash among adolescents and their parents who are unable to adapt to the rapid change through which these adolescents are passing through certain issues. Measures to solve the problems. Due to complexity of causes, it is not easy to remedy the situation and efforts will have to be made by the agencies concerned like the students, the parents, the teachers and the political parties and the government to solve the problem. The following are some of the measures suggested in this connection. 1. The deficiencies in educational system contributing to indiscipline should be removed. These include the improvement in teacher-student ratio, changes in curriculum, change in the examination system and more and regular work from the students, youth counseling services and employment exchange in the universities. 2. To avoid clash between the authorities and the students, there should be joint committees of students, teachers and the heads of the institutions and the consultation among these should be very often. 3. There is need of civic, moral and spiritual education among the young so that they may have respect for teachers, elders and the laws of the country. Let us look into the health and related problems. Health is fundamental to national progress in any sphere. It is the measure of energy and productive capacity in any country. Health does not mean merely the absence of disease, but complete adjustment of individual to external environments, physical and social. According to Health Survey and Development Committee's observation, the term health implies more than absence of sickness in the individual and indicates a state of harmonious functioning of the body and mind in relation to his physical and social environment, so as to enable him to live to the fullest possible extent and to reach his maximum level of productive capacity. Health thus is a positive state of well-being of the individual having harmonious development of physical, mental capacities. Therefore, health involves not only medical factors, but social, economic and educational factors as well. Urbanization and health problems. The urbanization process in India as in other countries is accompanied by a growing process of social polarization in the course of rapid economic transitions. Changes in lifestyle contribute significantly to changing patterns of disease. The growing middle class, estimated at 300 million people, faces higher risk through non-infectious disease caused by modern nutrition, lifestyle patterns and socio-cultural practices. Loss of health affects productivity as well as efficiency in the national production. Urban environment are heavily affected by air pollution, water pollution and the collapse of waste management system. To name the only most obvious threats, the living conditions of the slum populations in particular, which constitute a significant proportion of population as a whole, are often unhygienic and highly unhealthy. The often neglected wastewater is an especially important factor and a carrier of infectious and non-infectious diseases. In India, only about 35% of the wastewater from class 1 cities more than 1 lakh inhabitants and class 2 towns between 50,000 to 1 lakh inhabitants is processed, posing potential hazards to human populations. Environmental problems can cause many other problems such as poor air quality that can produce asthma and allergies, contribute to physical inactivity. Air pollution may possibly harm people in ways so subtle and slow that they have not yet been detected. Every time we inhale, we carry dangerous air pollutants into our bodies. These pollutants can cause short-term effects such as eye and throat irritation. The long-term effects such as cancer and damage to the body's immune, neurological, reproductive and respiratory systems. Children, as they are in the process of developing, are at greater health related risk. Air pollution can also cause heart attacks. Two potential mechanisms by which it does this have been proposed are: 1. The lung inflammation can lead to the release of chemicals from macrophages that cause changes in the clotting mechanisms of the blood. 2. A neural reflex may be initiated by the irritant effects of air pollutants in the lung, leading to changes in heart rhythm and rate. Let us look into the water pollution. Wastewater from manufacturing or chemical processing in industries contributes to water pollution. Industrial wastewater usually contains specific and readily identifiable chemical compounds. An impure water supply can cause the spread of infectious disease through the water supply or through food, such as waterborne and foodborne diseases. Climate changes can cause deaths from severe heart or cold. Noise can cause sleep disturbances and hence poor performance at work and in school, poisoning leading to developmental and behavior problems. Second-hand smoke and exposure to carcinogens can cause cancer. Let us look into the noise pollution. Noise is transient. Once the pollution stops, the environment is free of it. Other pollution can be measured and scientists can estimate how much material can be introduced into the environment before the harm is done. Though we can measure individual sounds that may actually damage the human hearing, it is difficult to monitor cumulative exposure to noise. The urban dwellers are subjected to excessive noise. Most urban people live, work or play around noise of sufficient duration and intensity to cause permanent hearing loss. Noise consists of pressure waves that travel through the air, which we call sound. Another important source of environmental noise pollution is the public address system and loudspeakers used by the people for advertisements of goods and announcement of programs, and finally amplification and broadcasting of recorded music in connection with the celebration of religious festivals and marriages. While the source of noise pollutions are many in urban environment, the largest emission levels of vehicles depend on various factors such as the types of vehicles, capacity of the engine, the condition of the vehicle, etc. 1. There are certain ill effects of noise pollution. It is the price that is being paid for modern living, as permanent hearing loss is usually a long-term process. It is impossible to know at exactly what point noise becomes loud enough to cause damage to the ears. 2. Since sound intensity doubles with every increase of sound, the time of safe exposure would be cut in half with each such increase. Thus, a worker should wear ear protection if exposed to a steady sound. Noise is dangerous in other ways too. It can be a cause of stress, illness, aggression and violence. High environmental noise levels cause physiological and psychological disturbances in the human system. These disturbances include the interference with the power of concentration of mind, interference with the speech communications, causing of annoyance, irritation, nausea and headache. The domestic sewage. It refers to the waste that is discarded from households, also referred to as sanitary sewage. Such waste contains a wide variety of dissolved and suspended impurities. The main organic materials are food and vegetable waste, chemical soaps, washing powders and so on. The domestic sewage is likely to contain disease causing microbes. Thus, the disposal of domestic waste water is a significant technical problem. Sewage generated from the urban areas in India has multiplied since many years. In general, poor environmental quality contributes to 25 to 33% of global ill health. The physical, mental and social health is affected by living such as lead exposure, noise, asbestos, mold growth, crowding, respiratory disease and spread of infectious disease, accidents and mental illness. Health impacts of inadequate housing conditions are an intricate issue involving variety of exposures, the physical, chemical, biological, building and social factors, and social various health outcomes such as asthma and allergies, respiratory diseases, cardiovascular effects, injuries, poisoning, mental illness, issues of overcrowding, lack of resources, poverty, unemployment and lack of education and social services can lead to many social problems. For example, the crime, violence, drug use, high school dropout rates and mental health problems. The important indicators of human development are education and health. The health conditions of urban poor in some areas are even more adverse compared to rural areas. As many as 20 million children in the developing countries are dying consequent to drinking water. Persons are losing their lives on account of indoor air pollution. Women and children are suffering from nutritional anemia, tuberculosis and asthma are occurring in good number. Challenge before the government health care services. To growing urban pollution is major challenge before the government health care delivery system. They have to take the help of private players as public health facilities are poor. Let us look into the causes of low health. 1. Lack of hygienic environment conducive to healthy living, that is, the lack of safe drinking water supply and sanitation and absence of proper removal of human waste and garbage. 2. Low resistance due to lack of adequate and poor nutrition. 3. Lack of proper medical care, curative and preventive, also general and health education, proper housing. There is direct relationship between the nutrition and the productive capacity of an individual. Nutrition is perhaps the most important factor in the maintenance of health and resistance to disease. Though cereal and pulses form the major portion of human diet and supply carbohydrates and proteins, a healthy diet also contains, in addition to food grains, adequate quantity of other foods such as milk, vegetables, meat, fruits and eggs. There is both undernutrition and malnutrition in urban areas. Food deficiency bear most harshly on growing children among the poorer sections of the urban areas. At the present stage, when there is shortage of cereals and food grains and other protective foods, particularly milk, the problem of improving nutrition falls broadly under two heads, namely 1. Education of the public and of various groups of workers in nutrition, and 2. Measures to meet the nutritional requirements of vulnerable groups within the country, and information and guidance about the nutrition about conserving the nutritive elements in food and avoiding wrong waste and wastage should be made widely available through demonstration and the work of voluntary organizations in urban communities as part of the urban community development program. Let us look into food adulteration. Adulteration in articles such as milk, oil, spices, pulses, etc. occurs frequently in cities. Problem of food adulteration severely affect the health of individuals. Problems of food adulteration have been considered by the Central Council of Health, and proposals for deterrent punishment under the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act was passed, strengthening the machinery for inspection of foodstuffs and available laboratory facilities, and improvement and speeding up of administrative and other procedures connected with food offences. The mental health condition. The central government constitution of an advisory committee on mental health emphasized for the mental health services in programmes for the development of public health and medical facilities. The industrialization and the movement of population from rural to urban areas bring certain tensions and problems of maladjustment. In order to meet such situations, there is need of making curative services available in mental hospitals and preventive mental hygiene services in general hospitals. Let us sum up. The large influx of people from villages and smaller urban centers from various regions create a totally different social atmosphere in the cities. A common feature of urban life is individual stress and strain. The growth of modern system of education in India may be traced back to the establishment of the British rule in India in the beginning of 19th century. Since then, various commissions and committees were appointed from time to time during the British rule to find out the deficiency of the existing system and suggest improvements. It is alleged that there has been increase in student indiscipline and student unrest, especially in urban societies. About to educational problem, we also observe health issues due to various reasons. To dominating among them are the pollution related health problems as well as mental illness and adulteration in urban areas. The corrective policies, programs and services are necessary to cope and reduce the scope of these problems. The urban problems draw the attention of sociologists, economists and urban planners. They feel that these problems are the intolerable living conditions in urban areas. In short, one cannot conclude that in the name of development, modern human being has spawned an urban culture which at once strikes at the basic roots of existence and survival, though not directly. Thank you.